Well, you're watching World Talks on TVP World. My name is Sasha Farbach. Bulgaria faces a political shakeup as its president, Rumen Radev, has stepped down to launch his own party earlier this week, just months before the next snap parliamentary elections. Now, to analyze and discuss the latest about Bulgaria, we speak with Radan Kanev, Bulgarian MEP, European People's Party. Good to have you on TVP World.
Hello. Thank you for the invitation.
I want to start with also just setting the stage here. I mean, the president now, former president, he's been in power quite some time, a kind of figure that has always been very much present as you've had several snap elections over these last years, I believe almost 10 in the last 10 years. So what does this signal of his now departure and potential re-entry into another political arena?
The signal is, I would say, very much expected and at the same time rather strong, because it's the first time a president resigns in the Bulgarian history, just a few months before the end of his term, and not the first time when a president is entering active party politics, but never so far it was done during the president's term. So it shows an ambition for really what we usually call tectonic change in Bulgarian party system. Whether this would happen or not is yet to be proven, of course.
Mm-hmm. And tell us a little bit more about his motives as you see them. I mean, he is quoted here as saying just on Monday or Tuesday, our democracy cannot survive. We leave it to the hands of corrupt figures, deal makers and extremists. What kind of man and politician is he going to be, or rather, who is he? Is he more a pragmatist? Is he more of a firebrand? Is he a populist? Where does he stand in the spectrum?
I would say in the European political spectrum, Mr. Radev has already long stood as an outright political populist, trying to cover a big tent political spectrum. He was already for many years been very much active outside his presidential competences, which are rather symbolic under the Bulgarian constitution. Already positioned himself very much as an active political figure, and now logically making the next step towards forming a political party, political movement whatsoever, and obviously opting for the much stronger prime minister position. But his political positions and stances so far have been rather clear for many years, and they are very much on the say-nothing populist side of politics.
Mm-hmm. You're calling him a populist. Also, what decision that was made recently, and I think this is important to discuss. I mean, we've had a decision that was somewhat not so popular, was joining the Eurozone. Now, Bulgaria has joined that as of the 1st of January 2026. It was delayed a couple of years, replacing the currency, the lev. So how has that gone down so far? What are the current implications? Have the fears been warranted? I mean, it's very early, but how has the process of adopting the euro gone so far?
Here you have a very clear example of the political style of President Radev. He never took a stance on the decision of Bulgaria to enter the Eurozone, neither positive nor negative. As many populists, he evades taking clear political stances on either geopolitical, internal, economic questions. But he called for a referendum on entering the Eurozone in a moment when it was already clearly far too late for such a movement, and not taking into account the fact that under the Bulgarian constitution, such a referendum is clearly unconstitutional. So it was a very clear example of deliberate populist move, which didn't aim at certain political goals, but only enhancing his own political popularity. Mm-hmm. His first messages, the speech with which he declared his long-awaited resignation, once again was of the same type. Just mentioning problems that we all know for many years, like overwhelming corruption and poor state of the rule of law in Bulgaria, but evading taking any clear political position on any crucial issue that we are facing, and especially on the geopolitical turbulence that we are all facing in Europe now.
Mm-hmm. And on that geopolitical turbulence, I also want to ask you, because this is a man who's in the past uttered certain things that were more pro-Kremlin. This is a relationship that he doesn't hide. He's not really publicly been very much on the side of Ukraine. If such a move were to go ahead, let's say if he makes it as a candidate further and then something more as prime minister, what kind of policy could we expect? What kind of impact would that have, not just on Bulgaria's position, but also on the European position?
So for the moment, as I said, he's clearly evading clear stances. My expectation would be that he will do everything possible to evade them till election day. So we cannot forecast his behavior based on his political messages in his new role as political leader. But we have almost 10 years political history of his activities as president, starting with the public position that Crimea is de facto Russian because there is the Russian flag over the territory, going through strongly opposing European sanctions against the Russian Federation, furthermore through a very strong opposition to military aid for Ukraine and calling both Bulgarian national and European leaders warmongers and accusing them of prolonging the suffering of both Russian and Ukrainian nations because we support the victim of the aggression. Mm-hmm. This is something which caused a very deep cleavage between my political force, Democratic Bulgaria, and himself, a cleavage already existing because he was initially the independent candidate, but the candidate of the rather pro-Russian Socialist Party of Bulgaria.
Mm-hmm. I also want to blend a bit more into geopolitics, if I may. I mean, one thing that is currently also big is the whole strategic idea of Europe. We're currently been discussing the Mercosur EU trade deal. Now, that is going to go to a key vote in the European Parliament on Wednesday. Now, we're before that vote, but I just want to get your sense of either way of how this could go. That vote on Wednesday, it's very, very close, many undecideds, but if it goes one way or the other, how do you see this play out, and what does that signal also for the European Union as a whole?
It's a rather uncomfortable question, bearing in mind that my position here differs significantly from the position of my very good friends from EPP Poland, from the Civic Platform in the European Union, but I'm really a staunch supporter of the Mercosur deal. I think that in the present geopolitical situation, the support for Mercosur is a very strong movement towards safeguarding, strengthening, advancing the European industry, furthermore ensuring critical raw materials for Europe, and allowing Europe to take a much tougher stance towards the so-called EU-US trade deal, which is not very much of a deal, as we all know. So, as you said, we expect an extremely tight vote, a vote in which the EPP group will not be fully united. There will be a majority supporting Mercosur, myself included, and there will be a very significant minority calling for the Court of Justice to check on the deal, in which, as far as I know, the Polish EPP delegation and the Polish opposition either will vote in support.
Mm-hmm. And if, I mean, it's so tight, but at the same time, just the other scenario, let's say that it does not cross the threshold, just really briefly, this deal would then likely go to the European Court of Justice. What happens next after that?
It will be a very significant delay of the whole procedure. Delay which might have very serious political implications because, you know, Mercosur has been negotiated for a quarter of a century. from the beginning of this century. And the delay from 18 months up to 2 years might cause enough changes on both sides of the Atlantic, leading finally to a non-approval on political level. Because I don't think the problem here is legal. That's why I really definitely do not support this call, this procedure to the European Court of Justice, because we know that problems, as far as they exist, are of a political and economic rather than legal and legislative
Right, so there's many different layers to all this, and look, we'll have to close it there. Thank you so much for all that. That was our guest, Radan Kanev, Bulgarian MEP. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And thank you for watching. That concludes World Talks, but stay right here on TVP World for more. Goodbye.